Welcome back, everyone. This is Ilham, and I hope you all have been doing well. This is episode 2 of the FreeBSD Miniseries. In this episode, I will be showing you how to do a UEFI install of FreeBSD in a virtual machine, specifically FreeBSD Release 15.0. I will also show how to use the package manager, as well as how to enable services. I will also be pointing out where the FreeBSD handbook and man pages are useful, as it is a good habit to check FreeBSD's own documentation. The docs are actually very good and are usually worth reading instead of just guessing or copying random stuff. Everything will be linked in the description down below, as well as the website for FreeBSD, as I already have the ISO downloaded. So without wasting too much time, let's get right to it. Let me switch over to virtual machine, machine manager, whatever you like to call it. And let's create a virtual machine. Local, select the ISO. And I will be giving the virtual machine about 8 gigs. So if my math is right, 8 gigs of memory, sorry. So if my math is right, that should be about 8192. And I'll also be giving it 8 cores. 8 threads. Same thing. But yeah, how much storage? I'll give it, let's say, about 45 gigs of storage. That should be ample. And yeah, customize, install, finish, chipset Q35, firmware UEFI. I will also be adjusting the options for disk bus, as FreeBSD in a virtual machine has given me errors. I did try this before. Apply. And yeah, let's begin the installation. Let's let it boot full screen. Boot installer. A whole bunch of text while it loads. Sweet. As you can see, it has a terminal UI installer, similar to Void Linux that we saw in one of the previous videos. And it's giving us the option for install, shell, or live system. Obviously, we're installing the system, so let's go with install. The default key map is typically American with the QWERTY layout, which I will go with. And for the system hostname, I will just go with FreeBSD VM. For installing the base system, I will go with the packages option, which is labeled as a technology preview. This is FreeBSD's PKG base option. Instead of installing the base system through the traditional distribution sets, PKG base installs the base system and kernel as packages. This means future base system updates can be handled through the package manager via the PKG update and PKG upgrade commands instead of relying on the traditional FreeBSD-update command. Since this is still marked as a technology preview in FreeBSD 15, the traditional distribution sets are still the safer choice for production systems. However, I want to show PKG base here because it gives a good look at where FreeBSD is heading. For newcomers, especially from Linux, this can feel more familiar since both packages and the base system are managed through the package manager PKG. Just keep in mind though that it is still in beta, or what FreeBSD calls a technology preview, throughout the FreeBSD 15. Network. Auto. Yep. And one thing I want to point out here, especially for people coming from Linux, is that FreeBSD does in fact separate the base system and third-party packages a lot more clearly. The base system itself is the core operating system. That includes the kernel, core user land tools, system libraries, networking tools, and basic commands needed to use FreeBSD. Packages are extra software you install later with PKG, like Vim, FastFetch, desktop environments, web browsers, and other tools. Since I am choosing package base, PKG base the base system itself will also be installed and updated through the package manager. But the important thing to understand is that FreeBSD still treats the base system and third-party software as separate parts of the system, even if PKG base lets both be managed with the same package tool. But let's stick with the default options. Well, default, let's stick with what I've gone with actually. My fault, sorry. And yeah, I will let it partition automatically using root on ZFS. For swap, I'll just adjust it to 1 gig as it's, a virtual machine and I don't feel like it's really that needed. For the rest of the options, I'll leave them as they are. Here, it asks us if we want to set up a RAID or not. Since this virtual machine only has 1 disk, I'll choose Stripe, which is the default option. But yeah, with 1 disk, this option is fine, since it's a virtual machine. But on a real system with probably multiple drives, you should look into RAID options depending on your backup and redundancy needs. Spacebar to select ADA0 or whatever your drive name looks like. Enter OK. And yes, I do want to destroy it. In this episode, I will only just be sticking with base and basically everything else. I will be covering the system source tree and other stuff in a later video as it deserves its own video. Okay. And yeah, I'll be right back as soon as FreeBSD is done installing. And it has finished installing. And that was pretty quick. So let's set the root password. Okay. For time zone, my time zone is America, United States, and Eastern, which is most areas. Yes. Set date. I can detect it automatically. And yeah, for services, I will just be enabling NTPD. And sshd is enabled by default. Oh, and PowerD as well. For system security hardening, I won't be selecting any options, but you should look into these according to your needs for the system. Now, let's create the user. My username will be Ilhamz. Default UID, groups, wheel. That's it. Login class will be default. Default shell is sh. Home directory is default. Default permissions. Enable ZFS encryption, no. Password-based authentication, yes. Empty password, definitely not. Random password. Just for this video, no, I'll be creating my own password. Lock the account out, no. Everything else looks good, and I will not be adding another user. And yeah, let's go ahead and hit finish to reboot the system. And no, I don't want to make any final changes. Reboot. This shouldn't take too long. Let's make this full screen again. And let's hit 1 to boot multi-user. Sweet. All right, let's log in as our user. See. Perfect. So the package manager is PKG. So before we install, let's first add our user to the wheel file. So sudo root password, and then let's just install the packages. Why not? So for the packages, I will be installing vim, sudo, and fast fetch just to showcase how the package manager works through the root user. PKG install fast fetch. vim, and sudo. Fun fact, sudo is not installed on FreeBSD by default. This shouldn't take too long. Yes, I want to proceed with this action. Yes. And that was very quick. Very, very quick. All right, so let's open the Sudoers file and uncomment the wheel all password line. Editor equals to vim and then sudo. Very similar to Linux, especially Arch Linux for those that install it manually. Uncomment this line. All right, now let's log out of the root user and let's refresh the repositories to test out if we have root privileges on our regular user account. Sudo pkg update, and yep, looks like we do. Since I installed the base system using pkg base, pkg upgrade can also handle base system updates along with the package updates. So it will just be like this, sudo pkg upgrade. And yeah, well, it's a fresh install, so everything's perfect. Now let's run fastfetch to see our system information and whatnot. Let's clear the terminal. Perfect. To uninstall a package, you would simply just run sudo pkg delete and then whatever package name is. So like for example, if I wanted to uninstall fastfetch, I would just write fastfetch or whichever. And to automatically delete all unused or orphan packages, you would just run sudo pkg auto remove. Services on BSD systems, like FreeBSD, are handled a bit differently compared to most Linux systems that you may be used to. As documented in the rc.conf manual page, a lot of system settings are stored in the rc.conf file, including enabling services and setting their options. For instance, FreeBSD has mouse support within the TTY through a service called mousedD. So if we wanted to enable it on boot and start it now, we could either add the line manually by following the, let me show you, service name underscore enable equals to yes format, or we could have the system do it for us. That will be sudo service mousedD enable sudo service mousedD start. Now, if we open the rc.conf file, as you can see, it is right there, which is sweet. It is also possible to use the sysrc command, to directly add lines to rc.conf as needed. For example, if I wanted to add mousedD and enable it using sysrc, it will look like this. Sudo sysrc mousedD enable equals to yes. Yeah, as you can see, it changed the yes to yes as we already enabled it. But that's about it, guys, for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next and final episode of the miniseries. Again, in the next episode, I will be showing you how to install a desktop environment and change the shell. Well, changing the shell is very similar to Linux. In fact, it's almost the same. So that should be a quick 1-minute tutorial. But yeah, please do subscribe so you don't miss the notification when I post the next video. And until then, enjoy the rest of your day.